Hello everyone, today we're at Flinders Pier in Victoria, Australia, famous for its weedy sea dragons. It's a balmy 19 Celsius and the water should be about 12 Celsius. On today's dive, I'll be testing the Divevolk Macro Lens. It's a plus 15 diopter that is super light compared to other lenses that I've shot with. It's a wet lens and it comes with both front and rear protection, which I love especially when you're traveling. For this dive, I'm using the Seatouch 4 Max and my iPhone 15 Pro Max with a small light on the hot shoe and a small tripod, which should hopefully stabilize my shots. I love this super light and small setup. If you've been seeing my videos before, you know that I never usually shoot macro on the larger camera that I used to have because I get really nauseous looking through the viewfinder underwater. Thanks to Divevolk, I now have access to my entire touchscreen on the iPhone, so no nausea at all, and I love macro. In any case, if you are wondering why I'm shooting with my iPhone 15 underwater today, I'm actually filming this right now with the iPhone 16, but the iPhone 16 just came out. So Divevolk is busy printing the inserts that go into the housing, like so. But as soon as I have that insert, I will also take the 16 underwater. So be sure to subscribe and hit that bell button to not miss any future videos. All right. Enough talking, let's dive in.
Okay, let's start with the first shot. This is the establishing shot, so you get a bit of an idea of the environment. It was a very surgy day. As you can see, this was how I was shooting. Thanks for Burim for giving us this perspective. And here you've got the screen view. The iPhone is now in macro mode, as you can see. And this is the footage that I then started recording. To give you perspective, this is without the diopter and macro mode on. This is again with the diopter. And flipping the diopter off. So hopefully that gives a bit of an idea of the difference in using it. And also flipping the diopter on and off, you don't miss big shot moments like this one. The visibility was obviously not good on that day, but still, it's an evidence shot. And I love that you can just flip off the wet lens. Here's another shot of a nudibranch. You can see a little bit of chromatic aberration. And that largely depends on lighting. So playing around with the lighting and also the focus. It's got a very close focal range, this lens, so you have to get really close to your subjects, which means you really need to dial in your lighting, and I'm still practicing that. You need to also get used to the iPhone flipping in and out of macro mode because everything underwater is moving. The way you can avoid that a little bit is to double tap your screen to actually stay in focus. Here we have another nudibranch. This is shot with the plus 15 macro lens flipped on. Again, I'm playing around with the lighting a fair bit to dial that in properly. And this is without the diopter on, so you can see the difference in detail. That's again with the diopter on. You can get a lot more detail in the rhinophores and the gills of the nudibranch. Now going to a little bit more still subjects. This is the bottom of a sea star. I think this really shows this shot that the diopter gives a really nice depth of field. Here we have a little anemone, again playing around with the lighting, trying to dial that in, but really lovely depth of field. I really like that.
Okay. Let's just interrupt the shaky macro footage like here to give you a break because like my stomach turned a bit when I was down there. And can you tell us what just happened on the dive? Like all of a sudden, right? I look at him and I ask, okay, and he just goes like, and I'm like, what? What happened?
Well, we just saw our very first Port Jackson shark.
Finally, after how many years?
We've been diving in Melbourne a lot, and we've seen lots of other people that posting photos and video of Port Jackson sharks at various dive sites around Melbourne. We have never ever seen one until now.
And I was so glad that I was on the macro setup because no worries with the Divevolk. You just flick off the wet lens and boom, you've got wide angles. So enjoy some wide angle footage from this dive.
So easy.
Wet lenses just make it so easy to change your setup from macro to wide angle. You can see I'm changing the lenses underwater here. Simply screw the diopter off and the wide angle wet lens on. Super easy. You can see with the wide angle wet lens here what the difference it makes in perspective. Weirdly for the iPhone, the wide angle wet lens only focuses with macro mode on. If anyone knows what that is about, please let me know in the comments below. If you turn macro mode off on the wide angle wet lens, it just will not focus. So please, if you know what that could be about, leave me a comment. I would love to know. After years of hoping to see a Port Jackson, he came around really curious. It was so awesome. And of course, you can't go diving at Flinders without seeing the weedy sea dragon, so we finish with a shot of that.
So what do you think? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear if you shoot with Divevolk as well. And don't worry if you don't have an iPhone, Divevolk can print any insert for any phone. Just get in touch with them. And I love that because that means if you change your phone or you upgrade your phone, you know, you can still reuse the same housing. In my opinion, that's more sustainable. So if you're interested in any of the Divevolk gear, check out the link in the description. You get a small discount and you help out the channel. Well, for me, it was an extremely challenging dive, especially on the macro setup. I didn't think that my light setup would work. At one point, I actually took my light off and handheld it, but that was really difficult to then balance the camera in one hand with all the surge. It was really surgy, so I had to work really hard and keep my core really tight not to get nauseous. The nausea again. Yeah, if you're a beginner macro photographer like me, it was extremely challenging conditions because of the surge. To hold everything still in order to frame the shot was not easy, but I will not give up, and I know that these conditions will only prepare me for conditions when I'm overseas, when there's strong currents, you know, like we saw it in the Philippines. In the Philippines, I shot with mainly +5 or +12 diopters. So the +15 for me was yet another step up, and we don't really have the macro light for +15, so I tried to show it to you as best as I could to showcase the lens and also practice, so that when I'm in destinations like the Philippines where, you know, the +15 comes in really handy, I'm ready. So I guess it's a process that everyone has to go through, especially as a beginner. You don't just get great shots from the get-go, but I hope it kind of gives you a sense for the gear that I was testing. I will definitely keep practicing and keep improving, and I hope you're along for the journey.